Welcome to the deep dive. We take complex topics, break them down using a whole stack of sources, and, well, give you the core ideas without you having to read everything.
It's about getting that efficient understanding, right?
Exactly. And today, we're diving into something really fascinating, the place where modern science meets Jewish mystical tradition, specifically Kabbalah.
And our main guide here is the work of Dr. Hyman Schipper. He's a neurologist, a neuroscientist up at McGill University.
Yeah, and his background is pretty impressive. We're talking professorships in neurology, medicine, geriatrics, clinical work too.
Plus, he runs a neuroscience lab focused on degenerative brain diseases, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. He's got over 200 peer-reviewed papers in those fields. So he's deeply rooted in hard science.
But what makes this deep dive unique is his other focus, Kabbalah. And this isn't just a casual interest. He's published academically on it.
Right, in journals focused on Jewish thought, philosophy, Kabbalah, even connecting it to things like unified field mechanics. It shows a serious scholarly effort to bridge these worlds.
So our mission today, it's really to unpack Dr. Schipper's perspective. He argues that Kabbalah presents a kind of sophisticated panpsychism, this idea that consciousness is fundamental to reality.
And that this Kabbalistic view actually predates the term itself in Western philosophy. We'll look at how he connects these ancient ideas to, well, current science.
Okay, let's lay some groundwork. Dr. Schipper starts by setting up the different ways people think about God and the universe. He mentions three main views: deism, pantheism, and panentheism. Can you break those down?
Sure. So deism, that's the idea of God as like a creator who sets things in motion. Think of a watchmaker, but then steps back. God is transcendent, distant.
Got it. Creates it, lets it run. What about pantheism?
Pantheism is different. It says God is the universe, everything, the sum total of all existence, that's God. God is immanent, completely within everything. Spinoza is probably the most famous example.
Okay, so deism, God outside. Pantheism, God is everything. And the third one, panentheism.
Panentheism is sort of a blend. It agrees with pantheism that God is in the universe, totally immanent and involved. But crucially, it also holds on to the deist idea that God transcends the universe. God is bigger than just the sum of the parts.
So God is both in the world and beyond the world.
Exactly. And Dr. Schipper points out that Kabbalah really aligns with this panentheistic view. He also notes this is pretty consistent with traditional Jewish theology generally. It's this both-hand idea.
That's a really important distinction. Okay, with that theological backdrop, let's get into a core Kabbalistic concept, the 10 Sephirot. Dr. Schipper says they're fundamental. What are they exactly?
The Sephirot. Well, they're often described as attributes or emanations of the divine. Dr. Schipper uses the term information packets, which is quite a helpful modern way to think about them.
Information packets. Interesting. So not physical things, but
Yeah.
qualities, aspects.
Kind of, yeah. They're like facets of God's infinite being, the ways God interacts with and manifests in creation. Think of them maybe as 10 dynamic principles or channels through which divinity flows.
And they're arranged in a specific way, aren't they? Not just a random collection.
Oh, absolutely. There's a definite hierarchy, often shown as a tree. At the very top, you have Keter, which means crown. It represents the divine will, the closest point to what's called Ein Sof, the infinite, the unknowable essence of God.
Keter, the crown. Okay, and then?
Then it descends through 9 others. You have Chokmah, wisdom, Bina, understanding, Chesed, loving kindness, Gevura, severity or strength, Tiferet, beauty, Netzach, victory, Hod, splendor, Yesod, foundation.
And
Finally, at the bottom, Melchit, which means kingdom. And Melchit is really key. It acts like a transducer. It receives all the divine influence flowing down from Keter and the other.
And turns it into, what? Physical reality.
Essentially, yes. It manifests the divine will into the tangible world we experience. So there's this flow, this cascade, from the most abstract Keter down to the most concrete Melchit.
A flow of divine intention becoming reality. Got it. Now, how did these Sephirot even come about? Dr. Schipper goes into the Kabbalistic creation story, which actually happens before Genesis 1.1, right?
That's right. It starts with this primordial state of just infinite, undifferentiated divine light. Ein Sof. Imagine just limitless light and nothing else.
Pure potential.
Is there?
Where anything exists.
Exactly. Then comes this really crucial concept called symptom. It means contraction or self-limitation. God, in this initial state, withdraws his light from a central point within himself.
Withdraws. So God makes space. within God.
Precisely. It creates this primordial void or empty space, which is necessary for creation to happen in. It's not creation out of nothing ex nihilo, but creation within this vacated space. A very different idea.
That is different. Okay, so there's a void. What happens next?
Well, the light that withdrew leaves behind a kind of residue. It's called reshimu. This residue lines the edges of the void. Then, from the infinite light outside the void, a single focused ray of light penetrates into the void. This is called the kav.
A ray of light entering the void, meeting this residue.
Right. And the kav, this active light, interacts with the reshimu, the receptive residue. It's often described metaphorically like a masculine and feminine principle interacting. And this union, this interaction, is what gives rise to the 10 Sephirot.
Ah, so that's their origin point.
Yes. And initially, they're described as being arranged in concentric circles within that void. Keter is the outermost circle, closest to the surrounding Ein Sof, and Malchut is the very center point.
Concentric circles. That's maybe less common than the tree image.
It is.
Yeah.
But then there's a rearrangement. These circles reconfigure into that hierarchical tree-like structure we usually see. And significantly, this structure is said to resemble a human form. It's called Adam Kadmon, primordial man.
So the divine structure itself is described in human terms? That flips the usual man in God's image idea around.
It does, doesn't it? It suggests a really deep inherent link between the divine blueprint and the human form. And this whole process isn't just a one-off event.
Right, there are successive worlds created.
Yes, a whole series of worlds emanate, each one a bit more concrete or further from the source. Our physical world, called Asiya, is considered the lowest, and each lower world is said to dress upon the higher spiritual world above it.
Like layers, the spiritual underpinning the physical.
Exactly. And this is where Dr. Schipper brings in that fascinating parallel with the physicist David Bohm.
Bohm's implicate and explicate order. How does that connect?
Bohm proposed that reality has these two levels. The explicate order is the world we see distinct objects, time flowing. But underlying it is the implicate order, a deeper level where everything is enfolded, interconnected, non-local.
Like a hologram.
Sort of, yes. Dr. Schipper suggests the Kabbalistic spiritual worlds are like Bohm's implicate order, this underlying enfolded reality. And our physical world, Asiya, is the explicate order, the unfolded, manifest reality we perceive.
So Kabbalah was describing something like this hidden, interconnected reality thousands of years ago. That's pretty remarkable.
It really is. It sets the stage for how Kabbalah thinks about consciousness, which is central to Dr. Schipper's argument.
Okay, let's pivot to consciousness then. How does Kabbalah see it? Where does it come from?
Well, according to Dr. Schipper's reading, the key is in that Sephirotic structure again, specifically the top three, Keter, Chokmah, and Bina. These three are considered intrinsically conscious.
The top three are conscious.
Yes. And they are thought to bestow consciousness, to varying degrees, on everything else in creation that's made of the Sephirot. That means objects, events, even down to, say, an electron.
Wait, an electron has consciousness in this view. That's radically different from the usual scientific idea that consciousness emerges from complex brains.
Radically different. It's fundamental, not emergent. Everything participates because everything is ultimately composed of these 10 Sephirots, which include the conscious triad. Now, the lower 7 Sephirot.
Yes, what about them?
They're considered the body or the structure. They are inherently unconscious. So you have this split within the fundamental building blocks of reality, a conscious head and an unconscious body.
Interesting. Now, Dr. Schipper also brings up a concept from Lurianic Kabbalah, something called Sephirot HaKelim, the shattering of the vessels. How does that fit in?
Ah, yes, the Shavira. This is a major doctrine from Isaac Luria in the 16th century. It describes a kind of cosmic catastrophe early in creation. The idea is that the divine light flowing into the lower 7 Sephirot conceived as vessels was too intense.
Too much power for the containers.
Exactly. So these vessels, the lower 7, fractured and shattered. This shattering is seen as the origin of our fragmented physical world, with all its apparent separation and imperfection.
A cosmic shattering created our broken world. But what about consciousness? Did that shatter too?
This is the crucial point Dr. Schipper highlights. According to the Lurianic tradition, the top 3 Sephirot Keter, Chokmah, Bina, the conscious ones they didn't shatter, they remained intact, unified.
So even though the body of reality fragmented, the consciousness aspect remained whole.
Precisely. The implication is profound. It means that, from a Kabbalistic perspective, consciousness itself is fundamentally unified and indivisible, despite the fragmented appearance of the physical world. Our individual consciousness isn't isolated. It's a spark of that original unified consciousness.
Wow. Okay, this leads into another really mind-bending idea, doesn't it? Hebrew, or inter-inclusion. What's that about?
Hebrew is this principle that the whole is somehow contained or reflected in every single part. Think fractal or holographic. If you could look deep inside any one Sephirot, you'd find the pattern of all 10 Sephirot repeated within it.
The whole in the part, like a hologram chip containing the whole image.
Exactly like that. And the implications Dr. Shipper points out are just staggering. It means theoretically the entire universe could be unfolded within a single electron.
Seriously, the whole universe in one tiny particle.
That's the implication of Hebrew. Or, similarly, that all of eternity, past, present, future, is somehow contained within a single second of time.
My brain hurts a little.
Mine too. It really challenges our everyday assumptions about space, time, and scale. But again, look at the parallels Dr. Shipper draws with Bohm's holographic universe ideas.
And he mentioned Bekenstein's work on black holes, too.
Yes, Jacob Bekenstein's findings that the information content of a black hole seems proportional to its surface area, not its volume. It hints that maybe 3D reality could be encoded on a 2D surface, which aligns with holographic ideas. It's suggestive, at least.
Okay, so profound interconnectedness, the whole in the part. Then there's another layer called Hitkashrut, interpenetration.
Right, so we have the vertical flow down the tree, Keter to Malchut. But Hitkashrut describes a kind of horizontal or parallel connection. The idea is that Sephirot of the same type are interconnected and co-activated across the entire cosmos simultaneously.
So all instances of, say, cheesed loving kindness are linked everywhere, all at once.
That's the idea. Regardless of where they appear in the hierarchy or in different worlds, it's like a web connecting similar attributes across all of reality. Dr. Shipper uses the analogy of quantum entanglement here.
Entangled particles. How does that relate?
You know how entangled particles seem linked, instantly affecting each other no matter the distance, without sending a signal? Bohm explained this by saying they aren't truly separate, but are connected in the implicate order.
So Hitkashrut is like saying different instances of the same Sephirot are fundamentally connected at some deeper implicate level.
Exactly. It suggests this deep, non-local binding across the cosmos, based on shared divine qualities.
Okay, this is intricate stuff. Let's try to pull it together now for Dr. Shipper's main argument. Kabbalistic panpsychism.
Right, so summing up, everything is made of the 10 Sephirot. The top 3 are inherently conscious. Therefore, consciousness isn't something special that pops up only in brains. It's primordial, fundamental, immanent in everything. And it's not passive. It's active. It has effects.
And this view sees consciousness as hierarchical, holographic, and relativistic. What does he mean by relativistic consciousness?
He uses the traditional Kabbalistic division of reality: inanimate, plant, animal, human. Consciousness is present in all, but it manifests differently, with increasing complexity and capacity at each level.
So a rock's consciousness is just basic existence, a plant's includes growth, an animal's includes sentience, and a human's includes self-awareness and reason.
Precisely. The quality and expression of that fundamental consciousness are relative to the level of being. It's the same underlying consciousness, just filtered or expressed differently.
That's a fascinating way to think about it. And Dr. Shipper argues this solves some big problems in philosophy of mind, like the hard problem.
Yes, David Chalmers' hard problem. Why do physical brain processes feel like something? Why is there subjective experience? Kabbalistic panpsychism basically says, that's the wrong question. Consciousness isn't produced by matter. It's inherent in the fundamental constituents of reality. It was there from the start.
So it doesn't need to emerge from non-consciousness. And the combination problem. How do little bits of consciousness combine into my consciousness?
It sidesteps that too. Instead of building complex consciousness from simple bits, bottom up, Kabbalah posits a primordial, unified, absolute consciousness. You could call it the mind of God. Our consciousness isn't built up. It's a differentiation or expression of that universal consciousness, top down.
A reflection of the one mind rather than a collection of many small minds.
Exactly. And this leads him to speculate about, well, stranger possibilities, like non-local human consciousness.
Entangled with higher realms, potentially explaining paranormal stuff. That sounds out there.
It is definitely speculative. But he suggests our consciousness might not be entirely contained within our heads. It might be linked or entangled with what Kabbalah calls or makif, a surrounding, transcendent divine light. If there's a non-local aspect, well, it could offer a framework for things like ESP or near-death experiences, which don't fit neatly into our current physical models.
Okay, this ties into another really deep concept, Reisha Delo, the unknowable head. What role does that play?
Reisha Delo is described as this crucial interface, like a boundary region. Dr. Shipper connects it to the idea of a Markov blanket from information theory.
A Markov blanket, like a statistical boundary.
Yeah. It separates a system from its environment, mediating all the information flow. He sees Reisha Delo functioning similarly as an interface between our individual, maybe neural-based consciousness and the larger transpersonal universal consciousness. It allows us to be part of the whole without being totally dissolved into it. It maintains identity while allowing connection.
A boundary that both separates and connects. And he linked this to Heisenberg's uncertainty principle.
Yes, in earlier work. He saw parallels between the descriptions of Reisha Delo and Kabbalistic texts even from centuries ago, and the core idea of the uncertainty principle, that there's a fundamental limit to how precisely we can know certain pairs of properties simultaneously, like position and momentum.
So Reisha Delo might represent some fundamental limit or boundary in knowledge or reality itself.
That's the intriguing suggestion, and it plays a specific role in how creation unfolds, according to this model.
How so? How does it mediate God's will becoming reality?
Okay, imagine God's will in Keter is to create, say, ABCD. That intention passes through the Reisha Delo, and what Reisha Delo does is, essentially, it scrambles that intention into all possible permutations, ABDC, ACBD, etc. It introduces potentiality, probability.
Like creating a wave function of possibilities from the initial definite idea.
That's a great way to put it. This cloud of possibilities then filters down through the rest of the Sephirot until it reaches Melchut. And Melchut, the transducer, then collapses this wave function, manifesting the specific reality that was originally willed ABCD.
So it mirrors the quantum collapse, where observation seems to make reality definite.
It does seem analogous. But here's where Dr. Shipper points out a crucial divergence from standard quantum mechanics.
Oh, okay. What's the difference?
Kabbalah proposes there's also a direct access or bypass channel straight from Keter, the will, to Melchut, manifestation. This direct link bypasses the main hierarchy and the probabilistic scrambling of the Reisha Delo.
A direct line. What does that imply?
It implies that this direct access forces Melchut to manifest exactly what God originally willed in Keter. So even though from our perspective, behind the veil of Reisha Delo, things look probabilistic and uncertain.
From God's perspective, the outcome was actually predetermined all along.
That seems to be the Kabbalistic view presented here. The ABCD reality was inevitable, even if it passed through a stage of seeming randomness.
Wow. Okay, that throws a huge wrench into the idea of free will, doesn't it?
It certainly complicates it. Dr. Shipper suggests our feeling of free will might be a semblance, an experience created by our consciousness operating within that Reisha Delo boundary. We see the possibilities, we feel we choose, but the ultimate trajectory is set.
So free will is real from our limited perspective,
Yeah.
but maybe not from the ultimate divine perspective.
That seems to be the paradox. He even connects prophecy to this, the idea that a prophet might be someone who can somehow peek through the Reisha Delo and glimpse God's preordained will before it manifests.
Okay, shifting slightly. Dr. Shipper acknowledges that theology isn't science. It's not falsifiable in the same way.
Right. That's a fundamental difference in methodology. Science needs testable, potentially disprovable hypotheses. Theology often works from different starting points: faith, revelation.
Yet he sees this growing convergence, this resonance between Kabbalah and science.
Yes, particularly quantum physics, Bohm's ideas, the holographic principle. He feels these ancient concepts are looking increasingly relevant to where science is heading. He even notes how paradox, which is central to Kabbalah, is becoming more accepted in physics.
And he made a kind of prediction about that Keter-Melchut axis.
He speculates that maybe understanding that direct, non-probabilistic link could be important for physics, perhaps even relevant to finding a theory of everything. It's a bold thought.
He also contrasts the Kabbalistic view with, say, the multiverse idea used by some secular thinkers to explain the fine-tuning of the universe.
Right, the anthropic principle, the universe seems perfectly set up for life. Some physicists explain this by saying there are countless universes, the multiverse, and we just happen to be in one where the constants are right. Dr. Shipper finds it interesting that this relies on an untestable, non-falsifiable concept, the multiverse, as an alternative to a creator.
A kind of secular faith position, in a way?
That's how he seems to frame it. And it leads to the question of why smart people disagree so fundamentally about God.
What's the Kabbalistic take on that?
It's seen as necessary for free will, or beshara. If God's existence were scientifically undeniable, if every discovery just made it clearer, there'd be no real choice left in matters of faith. Reality is structured in this view to preserve that ambiguity, allowing for genuine choice.
That makes a certain kind of sense. He also briefly touches on the problem of evil. Always a tough one.
A very tough one. The Kabbalistic perspective he summarizes is that, well, good only really has meaning in contrast to evil. And if humans are given genuine free choice, even if it's a semblance from our view, that must include the possibility of choosing wrongly, of choosing evil.
So the possibility of evil is necessary for free will to mean anything.
And that overcoming evil, choosing good, is part of fulfilling God's plan. Again, there's that paradox. Our experience of choice versus a potential divine preordination, like living in linear time within a block universe where all time exists simultaneously.
Okay, one last point. Kabbalah hasn't always been an open source tradition, has it?
No, historically it was often transmitted more selectively to those considered ready for it, though there have been periods where it became more mainstream. But Dr. Schipper mentions there's an expectation within the tradition itself.
Yes. An expectation of what?
Of an explosion of this esoteric knowledge, the secrets of the Torah becoming more widely known, especially as we approach what's considered the 7th millennium in the Jewish calendar.
Interesting. So wrapping this up, Dr. Schipper draws some really striking parallels between this ancient mystical system and some very modern scientific ideas.
Absolutely. The connections to quantum mechanics, consciousness studies, boom, the holographic principle, they're really quite profound. It suggests that these old traditions might have tapped into some deep truths about reality.
It definitely makes you wonder if ancient wisdom holds keys that science is only now rediscovering, perhaps.
It's a provocative thought. Could science eventually break through limits, like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, using insights that echo things like the ratio de Low?
Could our understanding of consciousness and reality be fundamentally transformed by bridging these seemingly separate ways of knowing?
That's the big question Dr. Schipper leaves us with, isn't it? The potential for a deeper synthesis, a richer understanding of everything, by looking at both science and these venerable wisdom traditions.
It's certainly food for thought. We really encourage everyone listening to explore Dr. Schipper's work further, maybe dig into Kabbalah itself, and see what connections resonate with you. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.